People say family comes first. That blood is thicker than water. That sisters are built-in best friends. But no one tells you what to do when your own sister sees you as a servant. When love is a one-way street. When silence becomes your daily routine, just to keep the peace. I paid all the bills in our house, rent, groceries, even my older sister's college tuition. All while she treated me like I didn't matter. I stayed quiet. I stayed kind. I stayed patient. Until my birthday. She tore my only dress, out of pure spite, just because I said no for the first time. That single act of cruelty broke the dam I had been holding back for far too long. And what happened next changed both our lives forever. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a story about walking away, about finding strength in silence, and learning that sometimes choosing yourself is the most powerful choice you'll ever make. My name is Sophia. I'm 25 years old, and for the last year, I've been the one holding my family together, but no one knew that. I live in a small house with my older sister, Sarah. She's 27, beautiful, popular, and always gets what she wants. Our parents moved abroad for work last year and trusted us to live here together. They send messages, but not money anymore. What they don't know is I've been the one paying for everything: rent, electricity, groceries, even Sarah's college fees. I work remotely and never told anyone. I just wanted to help. But Sarah always acted like I owed her something. She'd never thank me, never ask politely. She just ordered me around like I was her maid. And then came my birthday. That morning, I woke up excited. I had one new dress, a simple blue one I saved for months to buy. I planned to wear it to a quiet dinner with my best friend. But as I was getting ready, Sarah walked into my room with muddy boots in her hands. "Clean these now," she said, dropping them in front of me. I looked at her, confused. "Sarah, it's my birthday. I'm getting ready to go out." She narrowed her eyes. "So? Just do it." I took a deep breath and shook my head. "No, not today." What she did next broke me. Without a word, she grabbed the dress from my bed, tore it straight down the middle, and threw it back at me. "There. Now you have nothing to wear." I froze. I didn't scream or cry. I just stood there, holding the pieces of my birthday dress in my hands. She smirked and walked away like it was no big deal. But she had no idea what I was about to do next. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the torn fabric in my lap. The dress wasn't expensive, but to me it meant freedom. A small piece of joy I'd worked so hard to earn. And in just 5 seconds, Sarah had destroyed it, and didn't even care. That's when something inside me changed. I walked over to my desk, opened my laptop, and started shutting everything down, not just the computer, but the parts of my life that held me back. First, I logged into the student payment portal. I had been paying Sarah's college tuition every month with my savings. I clicked Cancel Auto Payments. Done. Then I opened the accounts for rent, internet, and electricity. All were in my name. I paused for a moment, took a deep breath, and canceled everything. Last, I checked my bank statement. Over $12,000 spent in the past year, almost all of it on her. I stared at that number, not with regret, but with clarity. Sarah thought our parents were paying for everything. She had no idea that their last payment came a year ago. I never told her because I didn't want to shame her. I thought maybe she'd grow up if I just gave her time. But now I realized, kindness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-destruction. I packed a small bag, wrote a short note, and placed it on the kitchen counter. "Since you like being in charge so much, you can figure out the bills too. Good luck." Then I walked out of the house quietly. No drama. No final words. Just silence. I didn't know where I'd go next. But I knew one thing for sure. I was never coming back. I stayed at my best friend Kayla's apartment. She welcomed me like a sister and didn't ask too many questions. She just gave me a blanket, a warm meal, and a hug. That was more kindness than I had received at home in months. For the first few days, I kept my phone on silent. I knew Sarah would call when things started falling apart, and I was right. By day 3, the messages began. "Why is the Wi-Fi not working?" Sophia, did you forget to pay the rent? My classes are saying tuition is overdue. What the hell is going on? I didn't reply to any of them. Kayla watched me scroll through the texts. Still nothing, she asked. I shook my head. She's not sorry. She just wants her comfort back. Kayla nodded. You're doing the right thing. By the end of the week, Sarah was desperate. She posted a story online saying, "Some people are so ungrateful. After everything I've done for them, they just leave when things get hard." I actually laughed out loud. Ungrateful? I was the one keeping that house from falling apart. But that post gave me an idea. What if people knew the truth? I asked Kayla. She raised an eyebrow. You mean go public? I wasn't sure yet. I didn't want revenge. I wanted justice, the quiet kind. The kind that lets truth speak louder than rage. Still, I saved her post. Something told me this wasn't over. And sure enough, the next knock on the door wasn't Sarah. It was the start of something bigger than I expected. 2 days later, Kayla came home with a spark in her eyes and her laptop under her arm. You need to see this, she said. She pulled up a social media page she managed anonymously, one that shared real stories of family betrayal and toxic behavior. It had nearly 200,000 followers. I posted your story, she said, showing me a draft. Don't worry, no names, no faces. Just the facts. You told me everything, remember? I blinked, nervous. You posted it already? She nodded. It's up. It's titled. She tore my birthday dress. She didn't know I paid her tuition and bills for a whole year. The story had only been live for an hour, and it already had over 5,000 shares and 800 comments. The responses shocked me. She sounds like a parasite. You're a hero for walking away. My sister did something similar. Thank you for making me feel seen. I felt something I hadn't felt in months, validation. For the first time, people understood. But then, the twist came. Someone recognized the layout of our house from a photo Sarah had posted in her own stories earlier that week. They connected the dots. Quickly. Within hours, people began commenting on Sarah's public posts. They called her selfish, entitled, fake. Her college friends started asking questions. One even messaged me privately saying, "She told us her parents were paying everything. Is this true?" I didn't respond. I didn't have to. The truth was already speaking for itself. Later that evening, Sarah called me for the 10th time that day. I didn't pick up. Then she sent a voice note. Her voice trembled, not with sadness, but with anger. I don't know what you did, Sophia, but everyone's turning against me. If you don't fix this, I swear. I deleted it without listening to the end, because I had no intention of going back to fix what she had broken. By the end of the week, Sarah's perfect little image was in shambles. Her friends stopped replying to her party invites. Her group chat fell silent. Rumors spread quickly on campus, not from me, but from people piecing the puzzle together. She tried to fight it. Posted filtered selfies with long captions like, "Real ones know the truth," and "People will always try to bring you down when they're jealous." But her followers weren't buying it anymore. One girl even commented, "Jealous of what? Living off your sister's money while treating her like trash." That one got over 3,000 likes. I didn't say a word online. I didn't need to. The silence worked better than any argument ever could. Then I got a message I didn't expect from my parents. "Dad, Sophia, we're coming home. What's going on with Sarah? She says she's being bullied and that the house is falling apart. Mom, why didn't you tell us you were covering the bills? We're so sorry." I stared at those texts for a long time. I hadn't spoken to them about money in months because I didn't want to burden them. But now it was unavoidable. I typed slowly. I didn't want to cause stress. I just wanted to help. But she crossed the line. I had to walk away. They didn't argue. Instead, my dad simply wrote, "We'll handle it when we arrive." That night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Sarah. This time, I answered. Her voice was quiet for once. "I didn't know," she said. "I didn't know it was you paying for everything." I didn't say anything. She continued, "Can we talk? Please?" I took a breath and replied, "We can talk when you're ready to listen." not just speak. Then I hung up. I wasn't being cruel. I was setting a boundary. And for the first time, I think she realized I wasn't the little sister she could push around anymore. My parents arrived 2 days later, straight from the airport to the house. I didn't go. I stayed at Kayla's, sipping tea and waiting. That evening, my mom called. This time, her voice was different, heavier, older somehow. "Sophia, we're so sorry." I didn't say anything. She continued, "We had no idea what Sarah's been doing. We found the utility bills in your name, your bank statements, even emails from the college confirming you paid the tuition." Dad took the phone next. "She lied to us. Said you were irresponsible and always needed help. But she's been living off you. That ends today." I asked softly, "Where's she?" "Upstairs. We had a huge fight." She screamed, but when we showed her the proof, she had nothing to say. She just sat down and cried. For a second, I felt a flicker of sympathy, but I remembered the birthday dress, her silence after tearing it, and the way she tried to flip the narrative online. "I'm not coming back," I said. "We understand," Dad replied. "But we want you to know we see everything clearly now. And we're proud of you." That part made me cry, not because I needed their approval, but because I'd waited so long to hear those words. I spent that weekend creating a folder of every receipt, transfer, and screenshot I had. Not to start a war, but to have peace of mind. On Monday, I emailed the college financial office, formally removing myself as Sarah's sponsor. They replied with a short message. "Thank you for your support over the past year. The student has been informed. Further tuition responsibility will be reassigned." Sarah now had to face her real adult life. Without me. And me? I was just getting started. A few days after I cut ties with Sarah officially, Kayla burst into the room with her phone in hand, grinning like she'd won the lottery. "Sophia, your story just hit 1 million views." I blinked. "What story?" She turned the screen toward me. It was the same anonymous post she had uploaded earlier, the one titled, "She tore my birthday dress. She didn't know I paid her tuition and bills for a whole year." It had exploded. People had stitched it, reacted to it, turned it into mini podcasts, even drawn artwork about the dress as a symbol of betrayal. Some compared it to Cinderella in reverse, the hardworking girl mistreated by her own family, except this time she walked away and didn't need saving. The comments poured in. "She needs to write a book. Please turn this into a TED Talk. I've been that sister too, except I stayed. Thank you for walking away." I was stunned. They're talking about me like I'm brave or something. Kayla leaned against the table. "Because you are. Most people stay quiet and suffer. You left. That's powerful." At first, I didn't know what to do with the attention. I hadn't asked for it. But slowly, I started replying to people, sharing small bits of advice, encouraging them to stand up for themselves, to set boundaries. Then Kayla had another idea. "Why not start a page of your own? Not just to share your story, but to help people like you who never got a thank you." I hesitated. What would I even call it? She smiled. "How about Silent Strength?" It felt right. That night, I created the page. By morning, I had 8,000 followers, all from people who just wanted to be heard. I wasn't just moving on. I was creating something that mattered. By the end of the week, Silent Strength had over 50,000 followers. I posted simple messages, nothing fancy. Just the truth in plain words. It's okay to walk away from people who take more than they give. Being family doesn't mean being allowed to hurt someone without consequences. You're not selfish for finally choosing yourself. People shared them like wildfire. Messages poured in, some from college students, others from exhausted mothers, a few even from men who had been silently supporting toxic households. And then it happened. A national talk show reached out. They had seen the viral post and wanted to interview me about my experience. At first, I panicked. I didn't want to humiliate Sarah or turn my life into public gossip. But the producer reassured me. "You don't have to name names. Just share the heart of the story, what it taught you, and how others can learn from it." I agreed. The interview aired on a Tuesday. I wore a soft lavender blouse, the color I'd originally picked for my birthday dress. Full circle. I shared my story calmly, not to bash anyone, but to empower others. I ended the interview with a quiet sentence. Sometimes, the people we love the most teach us how to love ourselves by showing us what love is not. The host was speechless. The crowd applauded, and my phone blew up the moment I stepped off stage. Later that night, I received an email titled, "Collaboration Offer, from Survivor to Speaker." A women's empowerment group wanted to partner with me to host monthly workshops, online and in person, helping others set boundaries, leave toxic situations, and rebuild their self-worth. I stared at the screen in disbelief. I had started this year holding torn fabric in my hands and silent pain in my heart. Now, I was holding opportunities I'd never imagined. And the pain? It had turned into purpose. Just when I thought things had finally settled, I got an unexpected email from Sarah. The subject line read, "Please, just hear me out." I hesitated for a long time before clicking it. Inside was a message, longer than anything she'd ever written to me before. "Sophia, I know I've hurt you more than I can ever explain. I was proud, selfish, and blind. I assumed the world owed me comfort, and I treated you like you were invisible. I see now how deeply I failed as your sister. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to tell you, I'm sorry. I watched your interview. You looked strong. You are strong. And I don't think I've ever truly known you until now." I stared at the words, unsure what I felt. A part of me wanted to cry. Another part of me stayed frozen. Kayla read the email over my shoulder and whispered, "What are you going to do?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I took a few days to think. Not because I hated her, but because healing deserved space, not speed. Finally, I responded, "Thank you for the apology. I accept it, not for you, but for myself. I'm choosing peace over resentment. But that doesn't mean I'm ready to rebuild a relationship. Trust, once broken, doesn't grow back overnight. It's earned. For now, I wish you well. I truly do. But I need distance to protect the life I'm building." She replied with just 2 words. "I understand." And that was the last time we spoke. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. Because sometimes closure doesn't come from hugging it out. Sometimes it comes from saying, "This is as far as I go." 3 months later, I found the perfect little apartment just outside the city. It wasn't fancy, just a 1-bedroom with sunlit windows, wooden floors, and a quiet corner where I could write. But to me, it was more than a home. It was a symbol of everything I had earned. Independence. Stability. Peace. I decorated it myself. Kayla helped me paint the walls a soft beige. I bought a small but sturdy desk, a second-hand bookshelf, and a comfy couch that I called the thinking spot. One evening, as I unpacked the last box, I found the sealed envelope I had left on the kitchen counter the day I walked out of Sarah's life. Somehow, I had taken a photo of it on my phone and printed it later. I read the note again. "Since you like being in charge so much, you can figure out the bills too. Good luck." I smiled, not with bitterness, but with quiet pride. I'd written that note when I was still angry. Now, I didn't feel anger anymore. I just felt proud that I had stood up for myself. My page Silent Strength had grown to over 120,000 followers. I hosted weekly live streams, answered anonymous questions, and even wrote a digital guide on financial boundaries. People emailed me with stories that mirrored mine. Some were heartbreaking. Some were inspiring. All of them were honest. That night, sitting on my new couch with a warm mug of tea, I looked around at my quiet, cozy apartment and realized something important. I no longer lived under anyone's shadow. No one was screaming. No one was tearing up dresses. No one was making me feel small. This was my life. And I had built it from the ruins of being unappreciated. One chilly Saturday morning, I was sipping coffee and reviewing workshop feedback on my laptop when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door cautiously, and there she was. Sarah. She looked different. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. Dark circles under her eyes. She was holding a folder in one hand and a small white envelope in the other. "Can I come in?" she asked softly. I paused, then nodded. Not out of trust, but out of strength. I wasn't afraid anymore. She sat at the edge of my couch like a guest in someone else's home. I stayed standing. She handed me the envelope. It's a letter. A real one. No phone. No drama. Just read it when you're ready. I held it, but didn't open it. Then she placed the folder on the table. It's all the money I owe you, she said. I took on 2 jobs after you left. I saved every dollar. This isn't everything yet, but it's a start. I blinked in surprise. Inside the folder were bank deposit slips, a spreadsheet, and a receipt for a $2,000 transfer made to my name just a day earlier. I'm not asking to come back into your life, she said. I just wanted you to know that I'm doing the work. Not to impress you, but because I needed to grow up. You taught me that. I sat down slowly, still processing it all. She stood up to leave. I'll go. I just needed to say this in person. Whether you forgive me or not, I respect whatever you choose. As she walked to the door, I said gently, Thank you for not making this about you. She stopped, looked at me with tears in her eyes, nodded, and left. The door clicked shut. I looked down at the envelope, still unopened. My hands didn't tremble. I placed it on the shelf for later. Because sometimes healing means not rushing. Sometimes it means letting peace take its time. 6 months later, life looked completely different. I had just wrapped up my 3rd live seminar on boundary setting and financial independence. The room had been full, over 300 people, most of them women, nodding, clapping, crying, growing. I spoke honestly, not as an expert, but as someone who had been there. After the session, a teenage girl came up to me. Her voice shook. You made me feel like I'm not invisible. That single sentence reminded me why I started Silent Strength in the first place. Outside, the evening air was cool. I walked home instead of taking a ride. No rush. No weight on my shoulders. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. When I got home, I pulled out Sarah's unopened envelope. I had let it sit for months, not out of resentment, but because I needed to be in the right place, mentally and emotionally, before opening it. Tonight felt right. Inside was a handwritten letter. No fancy words. Just real ones. Sophia, I know I hurt you. I didn't just tear your dress that day. I tore the last bit of dignity you were holding on to. And you still walked away with grace. I've never respected anyone more than I respect you now. I'm not writing to ask for a place in your life. I just wanted to say you taught me everything I never learned. Responsibility. Boundaries. Real love. You were the older sister I should have been. I hope you continue to shine. With love, Sarah. I folded the letter slowly and placed it in a small wooden box with other memories. The old photo of me and Kayla laughing, the thank you note from my first workshop, the snapshot of my torn dress I'd kept to remind myself how far I'd come. I smiled, not because I had won, but because I had healed. And in that healing, I'd helped others find their strength too. Because sometimes, the ones who are treated like background noise end up becoming the loudest voice of change. I was no longer someone's silent supporter. I was Sophia. Independent. Respected. Unapologetically me. And finally, free.